After the birth of my daughter, my mother-in-law, who has always been patriarchal, actually took the initiative to invite me to a confinement sister-in-law. Although the confinement sister-in-law is young, she is very experienced in taking care of my daughter and me. I am very satisfied. But my husband always likes to pick her up. A little thing called her to the study to reprimand. At this time, I wanted to go to the study to persuade my husband not to be too strict with the confinement sister-in-law. But unexpectedly I stood at the door of the study. But I saw the confinement sister-in-law kneeling in front of my husband, putting her hand on his waist, and slowly unbuttoning his belt. She cried and said, "Ming-su, I listened to you. I have served your wife in confinement. Can you forgive me for leaving you back then?" I was holding on to the wall, my fingers tingling a little. Lu Mingxiu didn't push her away. He just whispered, "Get up." Su Man didn't get up. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her chin. "Do you know that I won't be able to have children in the future? I see that you have a child with her. And I dream of having a child." My mind went blank. I thought I heard it wrong. I thought it was a hallucination from postpartum insomnia. But the lights in the study are very bright. Lu Mingxiu stood there, his shirt cuffs rolled up to his elbows. His face neither surprised nor disgusted. He just frowned, as if he was dealing with a troublesome matter. "Su Man," he said, "I let you come, not let you make trouble." Su Man cried even harder. "Then what do you want me to do? Watch her hold your baby? Watch you eat with her every day? Watch her confinement and watch her be taken care of by everyone like your wife?" Lu Ming was silent for a while. Then he said, "She was my wife." I felt like I had been punched hard in the chest. Su Man suddenly smiled. The laughter was very light, but it sent chills down my back. "Wife," she said. "Do you love her?" Lu Mingxiu did not answer. Su Man continued to ask, "If you love her, why let me come? If you love her, why did you promise me to let me take that child after the full moon?" My hand slammed onto the door frame. "Child," she was talking about Minan. I almost rushed in, but at that moment, I heard an snort in the baby's room. The sound was very small, but it was like a basin of ice water poured on my head. I can't be impulsive. I am weak now. And my children are still young. This is the Lu family. The mother-in-law lives downstairs. The nanny is her person, and the driver is also her person. If I make a fuss now, they just say that I am out of control after giving birth, and I can't explain anything. I slowly stepped back, took out my phone, and clicked on the recording. My hands were shaking so much that I almost pressed the wrong button. In the study, Lu Ming lowered his voice and said, "She is still in confinement and cannot be stimulated. Don't push me." Su Man said, "What about me? I can't give birth. Do I deserve it? If it weren't for you, how could I have become like this?" Lu Ming's voice cooled down. "I didn't let you come back." Su Man paused. When she spoke again, her voice was soft, "But you still let me into the Lu family. Ming-su, you have me in your heart, right?" I couldn't listen anymore. I covered my mouth and walked back to the bedroom step by step. The moment the door closed, I slid to the ground against the door panel. The knife edge hurt so much that my eyes turned black. What hurts more than the edge of the knife is my heart. Lu Ming and I have been married for 2 years. He has always been a good husband in the eyes of outsiders. When I was pregnant, he came home on time every day, accompanied me for prenatal checkups, wiped my legs, and read me parenting books. The night I had a difficult birth, he stayed outside the operating room and didn't close his eyes all night. When the nurse took in and out, he said with red eyes, "Wan, thank you for your hard work." I really thought at that time that he loved me and our children, but now I know that there is another face hidden under his tenderness. I sat on the ground and looked at Nan in the crib. She slept soundly. She didn't know anything. She didn't know that someone had aura. Audi set their sights on her. I don't know that her biological father may have promised to give her to another woman long ago. I saved the recording and backed it up to the cloud disk. After doing this, I realized that my face was full of tears. I didn't cry. I don't dare. Half an hour later, Lu Mingxiu came back. He pushed open the door and saw me sitting on the edge of the bed, his face immediately becoming gentle. "Why didn't you sleep?" I looked down at Anin. My voice was very soft. "She cried just now, and I coaxed her for a while." Lu Mingxiu came over and touched Anan's little face. "Thank you for your hard work." I looked at his hand. This hand may have touched Su Man's face just now, maybe over her shoulder, maybe didn't push her away. My stomach swelled, and I almost vomited. Lu Mingxiu noticed that my face was wrong and bent down to look at me. "Where is it uncomfortable?" I avoided his eyes. "A little sleepy." He pulled the quilt up and covered it for me. "The movements are still so skillful and considerate. Go to sleep. I'll ask Su Man to stew some tonic soup for you tomorrow." Hearing the name Su Man, my fingertips pinched into my palm. I said, "Okay." He sat on the edge of the bed and looked at me for a while before turning off the lights and leaving. In the dark, I kept my eyes open and didn't sleep all night. The next morning, Su Man came in as usual. She was wearing a light blue confinement dress. Her hair was tied clean, and she was holding hot soup in her hand. "Madam, I stewed black chicken soup today. You drink it while it's hot." She smiled naturally. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes last night, I wouldn't have associated her with the woman kneeling in front of Lu Mingxiu in the study at all. I took the soup and didn't drink it. Su Man looked at me. "Madam, what's wrong? Is it not appetizing?" I laughed. "It's a little hot." She immediately said, then I'll help you blow it. She reached for the bowl. I gently avoided it. No, I'll do it myself. Su-man's hand stopped in midair. His eyes changed slightly, but soon returned to gentleness. Okay. She walked to the crib and looked down at Anan. Miss, you're so good today. She reached out and touched An's face. My heart tightened suddenly. She just fell asleep. Don't touch her. Su-man paused. She looked back at me, a hint of grievance flashing in her eyes. Madam. I just looked at her. I also looked at her. I know. The room was quiet. A few seconds later, Su-man lowered his head and said softly, then I'll go wash the bottle first. She turned and went out. As soon as the door closed, I poured the soup into a thermos cup and hid it in the innermost part of the closet. From that day on, I didn't really drink anything that Su-man brought me. I began to observe her. She was very familiar with the Liu family. Not ordinary familiarity. She knew that there was a spare pacifier in the third drawer in the kitchen. She knew that the door lock on the balcony on the second floor was a bit stew. CK. She even knew that Lu Mingshu didn't eat coriander. And her mother-in-law had to drink warm water before going to bed. She has only been here for 12 days. These details cannot be known to a new confinement sister-in-law. Even more strange is the mother-in-law. Zhou Fengqin used to dislike me very much. To be precise, she hasn't really liked me since I was pregnant. When she was 4 months pregnant, she asked the doctor if she could tell the difference between men and women. The doctor said that the regulations were inconvenient to say. When she returned home, she said with a cold face, Lin Wan, you'd better be a little more competitive. The Liu family's 3 generations of single heirloom can't come to you to break the incense. I didn't talk back at that time. Lu Mingshu was just rounding up the scene next to him. He said, Mom, boys and girls are the same. Zhou Fengqin glanced at him. You say the same thing. Can you be the same in your heart? Later, I gave birth to Anan. When the nurse said it was a girl, Zhou Fengqin's face darkened for a long time. I thought she would make trouble, but she didn't. She asked someone to invite Su-man the next day. She even said in front of her relatives, girls are good and intimate. Lin Wan has just given birth and is weak. So of course he must take good care of him. At that time, I was so moved that I almost cried. Now that I think about it, I just feel cold. How can a mother-in-law who has been patriarchal for many years become enlightened overnight? Unless this girl has other uses for her. At noon, the mother-in-law came in with a bird's nest. When she saw that I hadn't finished my morning soup, her face immediately showed dissatisfaction. Why didn't you drink it? You want to breastfeed now. How can you not make up for it? I said, I have a bad appetite. She put the bird's nest on the bedside table. Even if you have a bad appetite, you have to drink it. You don't think about yourself. You have to think about your children. I looked at her. Mom, haven't you always disliked girls? Zhou Fengqin's face froze. Then he laughed. You kid, what stupid things are you talking about? Anan is a child of the Liu family. How could I not like it? When she said this, her eyes fell on Anan. Not like. It's a look. It's like looking at something that has been marked with a price. My heart tightened. My mother-in-law sat down on my bedside and patted my hand. Wan, the most important thing for you now is to take care of your body. Don't think wildly. Don't be suspicious of gods and ghosts all day long. If a woman falls ill during confinement, she will be in trouble for the rest of her life. Suspicious ghosts. She said these 4 words very naturally, but I heard something else. She was labeling me ahead of time. If I say that there is something wrong with Su-man in the future, she can say that I am suspicious. If I say that Lu Mingshu betrayed me, she can say that I was cranky after giving birth. If I break down and cry, she can say that I am mentally unstable. I clenched my fingers and whispered, I know. The mother-in-law nodded in satisfaction. That's right. After she left, I poured the bird's nest into another bottle as well. In the afternoon, Su-man came to bathe Anan. She is indeed skilled in her movements. The water temperature was just right. The towel was soft, and Anan was quiet in her hand. But I looked at her holding my daughter, and I felt more and more uncomfortable. She is not taking care of a client's child. She was like holding her own child. She lowered her head and gently kissed An's forehead. My voice instantly became cold. Who asked you to kiss her? Su-man looked up, and his eyes immediately turned red. Madam, I'm sorry. I just like the young lady too much. You can't kiss if you like it, I said. She bit her lip, as if she had been greatly wronged. I know. In the evening, after Lu Mingshu came back, the first thing he said was to ask me, are you embarrassing Su-man again today? I sat on the bed, holding Anan in my arms. She kisses the child. I don't like it. Lu Mingshu frowned. She is a confinement sister-in-law, and it is normal to like children. I looked at him. If you like children, can you kiss other people's children? He seemed to be asked by me. After a few seconds, he slowed down his tone. Wan, you are emotionally sensitive now. I understand. But Su-man takes care of you and Anan very dedicatedly. Don't always think of people too badly. I laughed. Who do I think badly? Lu Mingshu looked at me. His eyes sank slightly. You know, I didn't mean that. I didn't speak anymore. He came over and wanted to hug Anan. I subconsciously hid. Lu Mings's hand stopped in midair. His face changed completely. Lin Wan, what do you mean? I looked down at Nin. She fell asleep. I'm her father. I know. The room was terribly quiet. After a long time, Lu Ming withdrew his hand. You've been really a little wrong lately. After he finished speaking, he turned around and went out. When the door closed, I was chilling all over. I knew I couldn't continue to wait passively. I have to know what they want to do. The next morning, Su Man went to the kitchen to cook a sterilizer, and her mother-in-law went downstairs to answer the phone. I took advantage of this gap and sneaked into the guest room where Su Man was staying. Her suitcase is in the closet. The box is not locked. When I opened it, the contents were neat. Confinement clothes, skin care products, a few parenting books, and a black bag. I opened the packet. Inside is a lipstick, a copy of an ID card, and an old photo. The photo is already a little yellowed. Above are Lu Mingxiu and Su Man when they were young. They stand by the sea. Lu Mingxiu hugged her from behind and smiled very easily. That's a laugh I've never seen before. A sentence is written on the back of the photo. When I come back, we will have a child. The handwriting is Lu Mingxiu. I stared at that sentence, my fingers cold. It turns out they really have a past. Not an ordinary past. It is the past that has talked about marriage and even planned children. I was about to put the photo back when I suddenly heard footsteps outside the door. I immediately stuffed the photo back into my bag, closed my suitcase, and hid behind the curtains next to the closet. The door opened. Su Man walked in. Following her was her mother-in-law Zhou Fengqin. I held my breath. The mother-in-law lowered her voice and said, "What's going on with you today? Lin Wan has already begun to guard against you." Su Man's voice was crying. "She won't let me touch the child." The mother-in-law sneered. "She is the child's mother. Of course she will guard against you. If you can't even bear this, how can you enter the door of the Lu family?" Su Man was silent. The mother-in-law said again, "Let me tell you, before the full moon banquet, you must be stable. Don't provoke her anymore." "But Ming Su is getting colder and colder to me," Su Man said. "What are you in a hurry for?" The mother-in-law's voice was very low. "As soon as the full moon banquet is over, we will let Lin Wan get out of the Lu family. The child must stay." My breathing stopped. The mother-in-law continued, "The child, although he was a girl, is useful now. The shares of the Lin family depend on her." I covered my mouth. "I see. And is not a granddaughter. She is a bargaining chip." Su Man asked softly, "Then will Ming Su really marry me?" The mother-in-law paused for a few seconds, her tone a little impatient. "As long as you are obedient, I will naturally help you. You can't give birth just right. Lin Wan's child is raised for you, and it can be regarded as fulfilling you." Su Man cried lowly. The mother-in-law did not comfort her. She only said, "Remember, don't be soft-hearted." Lin could not stay in the evening. She stayed. The Lu family couldn't get the Lin family's things, and you would never be the mother of the child. My heart sank little by little. At this moment, Annan suddenly cried in the next room. Su Man immediately turned around and went out. The mother-in-law also followed. I came out from behind the curtain and my legs were so weak that I could hardly stand. When I returned to the bedroom, Su Man had already picked up Annan. She patted the child gently and said gently, "The baby doesn't cry. The mother is here." I stood at the door, and my blood seemed to freeze instantly. Su Man looked up and saw me, and his face turned pale. The next second, she smiled and changed her words. "Madam, I'm here." But I heard it clearly. She was talking about her mother. My daughter was only 12 days old. Another woman has already started in my house, calling herself mom. I walked over and took Annan back from her arms. Su Man refused to let go. Her fingers clasped the swaddling clothes, and her eyes became ruthless for a moment. I looked at her and said word by word, "Let go." She slowly let go. I hugged Annan and turned around. Behind him, Su Man said softly, "Madam, have you been too nervous lately?" I didn't look back, because I know that the real war has begun. That night, I locked the door and held it against my chair. I sat with Annan in my arms until dawn. When it was almost dawn, I received a strange text message. The text message has only one sentence. "If you want to keep your daughter, don't drink the soup they give you." I stared at the screen. Chills all over. Who is the sender? Why did he know about the Lu family? Before I could figure it out, Lu Ming's voice came from outside the door. "Wan Wan, open the door." His voice was soft. "The doctor came, and my mother said you didn't sleep all night last night and needed a mental evaluation." I looked at the shadow outside the door and understood for the first time that a person doesn't have to take a knife to destroy you. He can give you the best confinement sister-in-law. You can smile gently every day. Why? You can say love to you in front of everyone. Then, he makes you lose sleep, make you afraid, and make you doubt yourself. When you finally collapse, he will stand in the crowd and say sadly, "She's sick." Outside the door, Lu Mingxiu was still calling me. "Wan Wan, open the door. The doctor just came to see you and didn't hurt you." I looked down at Annan in my arms. She slept soundly. I can't let them see that I'm afraid. I took a deep breath, moved the chair away, and opened the door. Lu Mingxiu stood at the door. He was dressed in light gray loungewear and his hair was slightly disheveled, like a tired husband who had been tortured by his wife all night. Behind him stood his mother-in-law, Su Man. and a middle-aged man with glasses. The man was carrying a medicine kit in his hand. As soon as my mother-in-law saw me, she immediately frowned. Lin Wan, look at what you look like now. Confinement and locking the door. Who are you guarding against? I said calmly, and in cries at night. I'm afraid it'll disturb you. The mother-in-law sneered. You don't use your children as an excuse. Su Man said that the child didn't cry a few times last night. It was you who didn't sleep. Su Man stood behind, his eyes red. Madam, I'm just worried about you. I looked at the doctor. Which hospital are you from? The doctor was stunned for a moment. Lu Ming continued to answer for him. He is a psychiatrist introduced by my friend. You've been in bad shape lately. I just want him to help you take a look. Psychiatrist? I asked softly. Did I agree? Lu Mingxiu looked at me, his tone more gentle. Wan, don't be like this, just a quick chat. I smiled. I just gave birth and my body hasn't recovered yet. A strange man suddenly brought a strange man into my room and said he wanted to give me a mental evaluation. Do you think I should be happy? The doctor's face was a little embarrassed. The mother-in-law immediately said, look, she's like this. If someone else says a word, she can top 10 sentences. She wasn't like that before. Lu Ming continued to sigh. Wan, don't let your mother worry. I didn't worry her. I looked at him. It's you guys who have been pushing me. As soon as these words were spoken, the atmosphere changed instantly. A hint of coldness flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. But soon, he returned to his gentleness. We didn't force you. You're just too tired. That's the sentence again. You are too tired. You are too sensitive. You think too much. You are not normal. They are like weaving a web around me. Every word is not heavy, but every word wants to drag me in. I didn't fight him. I took a step back and hugged Ainen tightly. I can get a doctor's consultation, but the location is not in the bedroom, and the time is not now. Also, I asked for a recording of the whole process. Lu Mingxiu frowned. Recording? Yes, I said, since it's just a general consultation. There's nothing you can't record. The doctor immediately said, actually, it's not very convenient today. When a woman has just given birth, her mood does fluctuate. I recommend observing first. After he finished speaking, he turned around and wanted to leave. The mother-in-law's face was ugly. Lu Mingxiu did not stop it. He just gave me a deep look. Okay, then wait until you get better. After they left, I closed the door. The palms of his hands were full of cold sweat. I know. Today is just a temptation. They want to see if I can resist. If I cry, if I shout, if I say what I heard last night, they can catch me out of control right away. Fortunately, I held back. I hugged Ainen back to the bed and turned on my phone. The strange text message is still there. If you want to keep your daughter, don't drink the soup they give you. I replied with 2 words. Who are you? The other party did not reply immediately. 10 minutes later, Su Man came in with soup. Madam, today's soup is very light. Please drink a little. I took the bowl. This time, I didn't say hot, and I didn't push it away. I took a sip in front of her. Su Man's eyes were obviously relaxed. Madam, you are right. Only when the body is well can we have the strength to take care of the young lady. I lowered my eyes. The soup stopped in his mouth for a second. When Su Man turned around to tidy up his clothes, I spat out the soup into the small gauze hidden in my cuffs. This method is very embarrassing, but I have no other choice. After she left, I poured the remaining soup into the breast milk storage bag I had prepared a long time ago, sealed it, and hid it in the compartment of my makeup bag. In the afternoon, I excused myself by wanting to eat fruit and asked my nanny to go to a nearby supermarket to buy it. I mixed the bag of soup in a pile of garbage and handed it to the errand runner at the gate of the community to send it to a testing agency. The recipient is my college classmate, Zhou Ning. She studied pharmacy and now works in a laboratory. I didn't tell her too much, just said, help me see if there's anything in it that shouldn't be there. Zhou Ning quickly replied to me, what's wrong with you? I looked at Ainen in my arms and replied to her, I'll tell you later. Help me first. That night, the unfamiliar number finally replied to the text message. Shin Yen, your father's lawyer during his lifetime. I stared at the name, and my heart jumped violently. Shin Yen. I've heard the name. When my father was still alive, he was often mentioned. At that time, I hadn't graduated yet, and my father said, Wan, if I am not here in the future, you can find Shin Yen if you have anything. He is a man who talks little, but is reliable. After his father's death, many affairs of the Lin family were taken over by Lu Mingxiu. I was in too much pain and too dependent on him. I never contacted anyone around my father again. Now that I think about it, I handed over my most important retreat to Lu Mingxiu with my own hands. I dialed that number immediately. The phone was quickly connected. The man's voice was very low and steady. Miss Lin. Hearing this title, my eyes were sore. No one has called me that for a long time. In the Lu family, I am Mrs. Lu, my daughter-in-law, and I am a mother who has just given birth. But my original surname was Lin. My name is Lin Wan, my father's daughter, the heir of the Lin family. I lowered my voice and asked, how do you know there's something wrong with the soup? Shin Yen said, your father left a trust document. After you gave birth, Lu Ming's people contacted me. What did he say? He said that you are mentally unstable after giving birth and may not be able to handle property affairs independently. He wants to sign the equity confirmation document for you as a spouse for the time being. I froze. Equity. Shin Yan was silent for 2 seconds. Before your father died, he left a part of Lin's shares in the trust. The terms stipulate that after you have children after marriage and complete the inheritance confirmation, that part of the shares will be officially transferred to your name. My hand holding the phone began to tremble. Why don't I know? Your father was going to tell you before you got married, but the car accident happened too suddenly. Car accident. This word is like a thorn in my heart. My parents died in a car accident 2 years ago. During that time, Lu Mingxiu has been with me. He helped me with funerals, helped me with company affairs, and helped me block relative scrambles. I felt that he was the only person I could catch. So half a year after my parents died, he proposed to me, and I agreed. Now that I think about it, everything is too smooth. It seems like it has been rehearsed a long time ago. Shin Yan continued. Lu Mingxiu has been in a hurry recently. He needs to prove that you are not fit to manage the property. Psychiatric evaluations, medications, and family testimony are all common methods. My throat tightened. They also want to take my child. I know, Shin Yan said. Children are now the key to the trust terms. As long as they control the child, they can control you. If they can still prove that you are mentally abnormal, things will be more troublesome. I closed my eyes. It turned out that Nen was counted by them from the moment he was born. I asked, what should I do? Shin Yan did not comfort me. He only said, survive first. Stay calm. Don't clash Heaton. Gather evidence. Drug samples. Recordings. Monitoring. Transfer records. The more the better. I glanced at the door. They were watching me at home. Then make them think you're being watched. Shin Yan said, the weaker you are, the easier it is for them to show flaws. I see. From the next day onwards, I changed. I will no longer question Lu Mingxiu. No longer stop Su Man from hugging Anan. No more talking back to your mother-in-law. I started to be a weak, sensitive, and easily tired mother. Su Man served soup, and I took it. My mother-in-law scolded me, and I listened. Lu Ming continued to say that I thought too much, and I nodded. I even took the initiative to say to him, Mingxiu, maybe I'm really too tired. When he said this, his eyes were obviously relieved. He sat down on the edge of the bed and held my hand. Wan, I know you have worked hard. I won't blame you. I looked at his face. This face used to put me at ease. Now it just makes me sick. But I still leaned into his arms. I only have you. Lu Ming's body stiffened slightly. Immediately, he touched my head. Fool. Of course I will accompany you. He said it too naturally. If I hadn't heard the words in the study, I might have believed them again. Over the next few days, I collected a lot. I keep the soup that Su Man brings every day. I put a small camera in the corner of my bedroom. It was sent by Shin Yan and hidden under the air purifier. I also put my old phone in the bottom of the bookcase in the study and set it up for long-term recording. It took me a long time to do this. The body after childbirth is too weak. I break out in a cold sweat with every few steps. Once, I had just hidden my phone, and the knife edge hurt so much that I couldn't stand up, so I could only slowly slide to the ground against the wall. I almost cried. It's not a grievance. It's hatred. I hate myself for waking up too late. I also hate that Lu Mingxiu can use his identity as a husband to get close to my bed while calculating me. On the 16th day, Zhou Ning's test results came out. She didn't type and called me directly. Lin Wan, your bowl of soup has sedative ingredients, and the dose is not large, but drinking it for a long time will make people drowsy, slow to react, and depressed. If the mother herself does not sleep well, it is easy to be judged as postpartum depression or anxiety. I sat on the edge of the bed with my fingernails in my palms. Will it affect breastfeeding? Zhou Ning was silent for a moment. Maybe, so stop drinking. Also, what happened to you? I looked at Nin. She had just eaten and looked at me with bright black eyes. So small, so soft. She can't protect herself with anything. Only I can protect her. I whispered. Someone wants to drive me crazy and take my child away. Zhou Ning gasped. Call the police. It's not enough now. I said. I want them to show their own evidence. The other end of the phone was quiet for a few seconds. Zhou Ning said, how do you want me to help you? My heart warmed. In this world, it turns out that I am not alone. I asked her to help me save the test report and also asked her to help me find a formal institution for a second test. That same night, an old phone sent back a recording. I put on my headphones and hid in the bathroom to listen. In the study, my mother-in-law's voice was very clear. She's been much more well-behaved lately. Lu Ming continued. The medicine worked. I felt cold all over. The mother-in-law asked, where is Su Man? Lu Ming's tone was impatient. She was emotionally unstable, but it can still be used. The mother-in-law snorted coldly. You shouldn't have provoked her in the first place. Women who can't give birth are the easiest to go crazy. Lu Mingxiu did not speak. The mother-in-law added, on the day of the full moon banquet, relatives and people from the board of directors will come. When the time comes, Lin Wan's affairs will be spread out. She is mentally unstable, and with her children, she has to sign even if she doesn't sign. Children's business. My heart sank suddenly. The next second, Lu Ming continued. The paternity test report is ready. My head was buzzing. The mother-in-law asked, "Are you sure it's okay?" "No problem," Lu Ming continued. "The report will show that the child and I are not parent-child." I almost threw my phone on the ground. How could an not be his child? I have never betrayed a marriage. Lu Mingxiu knows better than anyone else. But he actually had to do a fake paternity test. The mother-in-law laughed. Okay, at that time, everyone will feel that Lin Wan is not clean. No one can rest assured to hand over the shares left by her father. Lu Ming continued. As long as her reputation is ruined, the spiritual certificate has also been done. And custody and shares are easy to talk about. The mother-in-law asked again. What about the child? Lu Ming was silent for a while. Stay first. Su Man wanted to raise it. So let her raise it for a while. I turned off the recording and retched while holding on to the sink. There is nothing in the stomach. Only spit out a little sour water. The person in the mirror is pale and his eyes are blue. I looked at her and suddenly felt strange. It turns out that people real. Why grow up overnight? I used to think that betrayal in marriage is not love. Now I know that some people don't love you. He didn't treat you like a human being from the beginning. He uses you as a ladder. Be the key. When a piece of meat can be squeezed dry. I wiped the corners of my mouth and sent Yen to record. He quickly replied. This is key evidence. But it wasn't enough. Find that report. Report. Lu Mingxiu must be hidden in the study. The study room is usually locked. Only when he returns in the evening will it be opened. I waited 2 days. Late the next night, Lu Ming received a call and hurried to the balcony. The study door was not closed. I got up immediately. The knife edge still hurts. But I can't take care of it. I walked in barefoot. There is a woody aroma commonly used by Lu Mingxiu in the study. I used to like this taste. Now I just feel suffocated. I opened the drawer. Nope. Cabinets. Nope. Safe. I don't know the password. Just as I was about to give up, I saw a bag of documents under my desk, sandwiched between a stack of contracts. The document bag is not sealed. I open. There are 3 things inside. The first is the postpartum mental assessment appointment form. My name was written on it. The appointment time is the 2nd day of the full moon banquet. The second is the draft divorce agreement. The property division part is written very simply. I voluntarily relinquish all related rights and interests of the Lin family. Anan was raised by Lu Mingxiu. The third copy is a copy of the paternity test report. I opened it with trembling hands. The column at the conclusion of the repo RT reads, there is no biological parent-child relationship between Lu Mingxiu and Lu Anan. I stared at the line, and my eyes darkened. Lu Anan. They have even given my daughter the surname Lu. In the next second, deny her with a fake report. I took out my phone and took a quick photo. Just as he reached the last page, a voice suddenly came from behind him. What are you looking for? I turned around abruptly. Lu Mingxiu stood at the door of the study. His phone was still in his hand. There is no usual tenderness on the face. There is only a calm and terrifying scrutiny. My heart was beating fast as if it were about to break through my chest. But I can't panic. I slowly put the comment back on the table and turned to look at him. I'm looking for an ANS vaccine book. Lu Mingxiu looked at me. The vaccine will be in my study. Mom said that some information was placed here with you before. I said, I remember wrong. He walked in step by step. I could smell the cold fragrance on him. I used to feel at ease when he was close to me. Now that he's close to me, I just want to step back. But I didn't move. Lu Mingxiu walked to the table and glanced at the document bag. I know. He must have seen it. He knew I saw it. But none of us have debunked it. He suddenly smiled. Wan, you really like to flip through things lately. I lowered my eyes. I'm sorry. He raised his hand and touched my face. The fingertips are cool. You don't have to apologize to me. You are my wife. You can see anything you want in this family. He spoke gently, but the next second, his fingers gently pinched my chin, forcing me to look up. It's just that there are some things that you will be afraid of when you see them. I looked at him. Like what? Lu Ming's eyes deepened. For example, the truth. My heart tightened. He let go of me and regained his good husband appearance. Go back to sleep. Your face is so bad. I nodded and walked out. When he walked to the door, he suddenly said, Wan. I stopped. He whispered behind me. You won't leave me, will you? I turned my back to him, my palms covered in sweat. After a few seconds, I said, no. He said, that's good. I went back to the bedroom and closed the door. On my phone, those photos have been automatically uploaded to the encrypted folder Shin Yen gave me. I picked up an N and kissed her forehead. Mom will take you away. She opened her eyes and gently grabbed my fingers as if she understood. But before I could breathe a sigh of relief, Su Man's voice came from outside the door. She was talking to Lu Mingxiu. The sound is very small, but I heard clearly. She said, Mingxiu, on the day of the full moon banquet, can I really take the child away? Lu Mingxiu was silent for a moment. Then he said, as long as Lin Wan signs, she will no longer be the mother of the child. On the day of the full moon banquet, I wore a light-colored long dress. The skirt was chosen by Lu Mingxiu for me. He said that I looked gentle and good in this color. I looked at myself in the mirror. His face was pale. His waist had not yet recovered. But his eyes were colder than before delivery. Lu Mingxiu stood behind me and buckled my necklace. His movements are light, like countless times in the past. Wan, there are a lot of people today. Don't be nervous. I looked at him in the mirror. Are you afraid I'm nervous? He smiled. I'm afraid you'll be tired. I laughed too. With you, I'm not afraid. Lu Ming's hand stopped. Then he leaned over and kissed my hair. Be good. This word made my stomach swell, but I didn't hide. Today is the stage they are ready for. It is also the stage that I have been waiting for a long time. There are already a lot of people downstairs. Relatives of the Lu family, partners of Lu Ming's company, and several directors of the Lin family. The mother-in-law was wearing a crimson cheongsam and smiling with a spring breeze. She hugged Anin and said in the crowd, although Anin is a girl, we are very well behaved. Times are different now. And girls are also good. Relatives praised her for being open-minded. She smiled more kindly. Only I know that she has never regarded Anin as a granddaughter in her heart. She just plays a good grandmother who loves her granddaughter in front of everyone. Su Man did not wear a confinement dress Todd. She wore a white dress and stood in the corner. Her hair was loose on her shoulders, and her face was a little white, like an innocent bystander, but her eyes kept falling on Anin. That look made me sick. It seems that what is in someone else's hand should have belonged to her. Shen Yan also came. He stood outside the crowd, wearing a black suit and looking cold. We didn't say hello, but I know that he has evidence and people. After the banquet started, everything went smoothly. Lu Ming continued to lead me downstairs. He held my hand in front of everyone, said that I had worked hard in childbirth, and that the person he was most grateful for in this life was me. Many people applauded. Some people say I'm married well. Some people say that Lu Mingxiu has a sense of responsibility. I looked down and smiled, like a happy wife, but my heart was so cold that there was no temperature at all. Anin was taken upstairs to rest. I would have liked to keep up. My mother-in-law stopped me. Your body hasn't recovered yet. Just let Su Man go. With so many guests today, you always have to show up. I looked at Su Man. She had already reached out to take Anin. My fingers tightened, but I didn't stop it, because the people arranged by Shen Yan were already guarding upstairs. Anin will not be in trouble. At least not now. Halfway through the banquet, Lu Mingxiu suddenly picked up the microphone. Thank you all for coming to my daughter's full moon banquet today. The scene fell silent. He looked at me with just the right amount of tiredness and affection in his eyes. Today, I just wanted to make everyone happy together. But there are some things that I, as a husband and father, can no longer escape. I know. The play has begun. The mother-in-law immediately turned red. She walked to Lu Ming's side and whispered, Mingxiu, don't say it. The ugliness of the family can't be publicized. The voice is neither loud nor small. Just let everyone around hear it. The crowd immediately began to commotion. Lu Ming continued to support her. Mom, I don't want to do that either. But for the sake of the children, I must say. He looked at me. After giving birth in Wan, the mood has been very bad. She often stayed up in the middle of the night, locked the door, and did not let anyone get near the child. She doubted me, my mother, and even the confinement sister-in-law who took care of her. Everyone's eyes fell on me. Someone whispered, postpartum depression. Right. Look at her face is really bad. It's normal to have just given birth and be emotionally unstable. The mother-in-law wiped her tears and said, I don't blame her. She has a hard time giving birth. I know, but she is really scary sometimes. She sat with her child in her arms all night, and no one advised her. I was afraid that she would hurt herself and that she would hurt her children. She spoke like a helpless elder. I looked at her and suddenly felt ridiculous. After acting alone for a long time, even I almost believed it. Su Man also came down from upstairs. She lowered her head and her voice was crying. My wife didn't hurt me. It's me who is not good. Maybe I didn't take good care of it enough, which made my wife hate me. Her words were even more ruthless. On the surface, I spoke for me, but actually told everyone that I really hated her and really embarrassed her. Lu Ming continued to sigh. Su Man, you don't have to hide it for her. Su Man's tears fell immediately. Mr. Lu, my wife is just sick. Sick. As soon as this word came out, the discussion became louder. I stood in the middle of the crowd, like a man on trial. I didn't cry. There is no explanation. I just looked at Lu Mingxiu quietly. He seemed a little surprised by my calm, but he quickly continued. I had already made an appointment with the doctor and wanted to take Wan Yan for a professional evaluation, but she resisted. She even started rummaging through my study, suspecting everyone in the family. I asked softly, so what? My voice is not loud, but the hall was so quiet that everyone heard it. Lu Mingxiu looked at me, and a little real coldness finally appeared in his eyes. So, I would like to ask everyone to testify. I will not abandon my wife. If she is sick, I will accompany her in treatment, but the child must be safe first. The mother-in-law immediately said, yes, the child can no longer be taken alone. I laughed. You want to take it away from me? Lu Mingxiu looked at me sadly. Wan, I'm not robbing children. I am protecting children. Protection. I asked. Yes, he said. Protect her. And protect you. I nodded. Is there anything else? He was silent for a moment. He then took a bag of documents from his assistant. The atmosphere in the hall instantly became tense. I looked at the bag of documents. I know what's inside. Fake paternity test. Lu Mingxiu held it like a knife. There is one more thing I didn't want to say. When he said he looked at me as if he was giving me one last chance. If I break down now, he can hug me and say I'm sick. If I beg him now, he can force me to sign the agreement privately. But I just looked at him. Tell me. Lu Ming's eyes sank. He opened the bag and took out the report. Anan and I have done a paternity test. The crowd exploded. The mother-in-law covered her mouth in cooperation. Mingxiu. Lu Ming's voice was hoarse. The results show that Anan is not my biological daughter. The hall was instantly silent. A few seconds later, the discussion came like a tide. Not biological. Lin Wan cheated. Impossible. She doesn't look like this kind of person. No, the face, but not the heart. No wonder the Lu family has to do a mental assessment. I stood there listening to those sounds. Every sentence is like a stone hitting me, but it doesn't hurt at all, because the real pain passed as early as outside the door of the study. An old director of the Lin family stood up. His face ugly. Wan, what's going on? I looked at him. He was a friend of my father during his lifetime. After my father died, he had less contact with me, but at this moment, there was still a trace of unbearability in his eyes. I said, Uncle Zhao, do you want to hear the truth too? He nodded. Of course. I looked at Lu Mingxiu. Are you sure you want to finish here? Lu Ming's brows furrowed slightly. Wan, don't make trouble anymore. That I laughed. I didn't make trouble. I'm just asking you. Are you sure? His face turned cold. I just want the truth. Okay, I said. Then I'll give you the truth. I took out my phone. The mother-in-law's face changed suddenly. She wanted to step forward. What are you going to do? I take a step back and press play. Su Man's cry came from the mobile phone. Mingxiu, I listened to you. I have served your wife in confinement. Can you forgive me for leaving you back then? The hall was instantly quiet. Su Man's face was as white as paper. Lu Ming's pupils shrank slightly. I didn't stop. The recording continues. Do you know that I won't be able to have children in the future? I see that you have a child with her. And I dream of having a child. Someone gasped. The mother-in-law screamed. Turn it off. This is a fake. I ignored her. Then, Lu Ming's voice came out of the recording. She is still in confinement and cannot be stimulated. Don't push me. Su Man's voice sounded again. What about the child? You promised me that after she was full moon, you would let me be her mother. The hall was completely chaotic. Everyone looked at Lu Mingxiu. The good husband, who was gentle and affectionate just now, has a terrifyingly gloomy face at the moment. Su Man shook his head, tears falling wildly. No. It's not like that. I looked at her. Which sentence didn't you say? She opened her mouth, but she couldn't speak. My mother-in-law rushed over and tried to snatch my phone. I turned sideways to avoid it. Mom, don't worry. There is also. The second recording sounded. This time, it was the mother-in-law's voice. As soon as the full moon banquet is over, we will let Lin Wan get out of the Lu family. The child must stay. Her voice was clear and echoed in the hall. That kid is a girl. But now it's useful. The shares of the Lin family depend on her. The mother-in-law's face instantly lost its blood. She staggered and held on to the table. Someone in the crowd exclaimed, shares, so it's for money. This is too ruthless. Lu Mingxiu finally spoke. Recordings can be faked. He spoke calmly, even calmer than I thought. He looked at me with disappointment in his eyes. Wan, I didn't expect you to do this. I looked at him. Which step? You secretly filmed, recorded, falsified evidence, framed your family. His voice was heavy. You're really sick. The mother-in-law seemed to have grabbed a life-saving straw and immediately cried. Yes, she is sick. She is really sick. She even harmed her husband. Su Man also cried and said, Madam, I know you hate me, but you can't ruin me like this. For a while, the situation changed again. Lu Mingxiu is indeed smart. He knew that recording alone was not enough. As long as he bites me to death because of postpartum mental abnormality, and bites to death that the recording is forged, there is still a chance to make a comeback. But I didn't come alone today. Shen Yan finally walked out. He held a document in his hand. Mr. Lu, since you said that the recording was forged, it can be handed over to judicial appraisal. Lu Mingxiu looked at him. His eyes sank. Who are you? Shen Yan said calmly. Miss Lin's lawyer. Shen Yan. There was another commotion in the hall. Lu Ming's face finally changed. Lin Wan, when did you find the lawyer? I didn't answer. Shen Yan handed the document to Director Zhao. This is the test report of Miss Lin's recent diet sample. Sedative drugs were detected in many soups. The inspection agency is formal, and the source of the sample is recorded throughout the process. Director Zhao quickly flipped through it, his face getting higher and heavier. Shen Yan continued. This is bedroom surveillance. Ms. Su Man took the baby alone many times without Ms. Lin's permission and took selfies as the child's mother. Su Man screamed. You talk nonsense. Shen Yan looked at her. The video has been backed up. You can also apply for an appraisal. He took out another document. This is the chat record of Mr. Lu arranging for a so-called psychiatrist to come to his door. The other party did not register for outpatient treatment in a regular hospital. nor did he obtain Ms. Lin's own consent. The tenderness on Lu Minx's face completely disappeared. Shin Yan finally looked at the paternity test report in his hand. As for this report, Mr. Lu can now make it clear that the sampling time, sampling location, sampling institution, and whether Miss Lin knows about it. Lu Mingxiu didn't speak. I slowly walked up to him. You said Anan is not your daughter. I looked into his eyes. Then do you dare to do a new appraisal now? In front of everyone. Find 3 institutions to send them for inspection at the same time. Lu Mingx's eyes were cold. Lin Wan, you must make things to this point. It's not me who wants to make trouble. I said, you are going to destroy me. He approached me and said in a voice that only the two of us could hear. Do you think you won? I didn't back down. At least today. You lost. Lu Mingxiu suddenly smiled. The smile was very faint, but it made my heart tighten suddenly. He said, you're still too naive. At this moment, there was a scream from upstairs. It was the nanny's voice. Where's the child? The little lady is gone. The entire hall was instantly quiet. My mind is empty. The next second, I rushed upstairs with my skirt. Shin Yan followed closely behind me. Lu Mingxiu also caught up. The door to the baby's room was wide open. The small bed is empty. An ANS little quilt was still there. And the bottle was still warm. But my daughter is gone. Su Man is also gone. I rushed to the bed and could hardly stand still. A note was placed on the pillow. The handwriting on the note is unfamiliar. There is only one sentence. Lin Wan. You are not worthy of being her mother. I looked at the note, and all the sounds in my ears disappeared. Lin Wan, you don't deserve to be her mother. These words pierced my eyes like knives. I had just given birth. My body had not yet recovered, and when I ran up the stairs, the knife was already painful as if it had been torn open. But I don't care about it at all. All I know is that my daughter is missing. She is only full moon. She can't speak yet. She will only cry when she is hungry, cry when she is cold, and cry when she is afraid. She was so young that she couldn't even grasp her fingers. But Su Man took her away. I grabbed the piece of paper and turned to look at Lu Mingxiu. He stood at the door, his face calm, and he couldn't see any real panic. At that moment, I understood everything. I rushed over and grabbed him by the collar. Where is Anan? Lu Ming continued to look down at me. Wan, calm down. Let me ask you, where is Anan? I don't know. I raised my hand and slapped him. The sound is very loud. Relatives and servants at the door froze. Lu Ming's face tilted to the side. After a few seconds, he slowly turned his head back. His eyes finally got cold. Lin Wan, are you crazy? I looked at him. Yes. I'm crazy. You drive me crazy. Now give my daughter back to me. The mother-in-law rushed up from the staircase and shouted sharply. How can you continue to play? The child is gone. Everyone is anxious. And you are still crazy here. I turned to look at her. Are you in a hurry? The mother-in-law was stunned. I walked towards her step by step. The child is gone. Your first reaction is not to look for the child, but to feel sorry for your son being beaten by me. Zhou Fengqin, are you really in a hurry? The mother-in-law's face turned pale. You don't have blood. I pointed to the crib. Where is Anan? How do I know? Where is Su Man? The mother-in-law's eyes flashed. Very light. Fast. But I saw it. My whole figure is drenched in cold water. She knew. She must know. I turned to Shin Yan and said, call the police. Lu Mingxiu immediately spoke. You can't call the police. I looked at him. His tone quickly softened. I mean, don't worry. Su Man may just carry the child out to breathe. She won't hurt Anan. I laughed. I laughed so much that I felt unfamiliar. A month-old sister-in-law took away my daughter at the full moon banquet and left a note saying that I was not worthy of being a mother. You said she just took the child out to breathe. Lu Ming continued to say in a deep voice. The matter has not been clarified yet. Don't say it's so ugly. It's ugly. I walked up to him. Lu Mingxiu, you just said in front of everyone that Anan is not your daughter. Now that she's gone, you don't call the police. Tell me, what is not ugly? He stared at me. We are very close. Close enough that I could see the warning in his eyes. He said in a voice that only I could hear. Lin Wan, if you continue to make trouble, it will not be good for anyone. I also lowered my voice. If my daughter loses a hair, it'll make all of you pay. After saying that, I took out my phone and called the police. I kept shaking when my finger pressed the number. Not fear. I hate it too much. The police came soon. The guests at the banquet have not yet dispersed. In the Lu family hall, there was chaos. Just now, Lu Mingxiu wanted to judge me. Now, everyone is looking at him. Look at how this good husband, good father, explains the disappearance of the child at the full moon banquet. The police asked me when I last saw the child. I told Su Man the time when he carried the child upstairs. Shin Yan handed over the surveillance to the police. It was a temporary camera that he had arranged in advance to install in the upstairs corridor. In the picture, Su Man hugged Anan and entered the baby room. A few minutes later, the nanny was called away. After a while, Su Man left through the small door on the other side with Anan in his arms. She didn't wear a white dress anymore. She changed into a gray coat and a hat. Obviously, he was prepared. The police asked, where did she leave from? Shin Yan was transferred out of the back door of the community to monitor. Su Man hugged the child and got into a black car through the back door. The license plate was clearly photographed. I took a look. and the blood instantly turned cold. It was the Liu family's car, the one that usually takes my mother-in-law to the beauty salon. The driver is the mother-in-law's driver. The police also looked at the mother-in-law. Ms. Show, this driver is your person. The mother-in-law's face turned pale. I don't know. I really don't know. He should be waiting for me outside today. Have you contacted him? No. Shin Yan handed another piece of information to the police. This is a record of her call with the driver half an hour ago. The mother-in-law looked at Shin Yan suddenly. You check me. Shin Yan said calmly. You took away a full moon baby. This is no longer a family affair. The mother-in-law's lips trembled. She turned her head to look at Lu Mingxiu. Lu Mingxiu didn't look at her. He stood in the crowd with a gloomy face. I know. He's counting. He was thinking about how he could pick himself clean. But this time, he couldn't pick it clean. The police immediately contacted the driver. The phone is turned off. They began tracking the vehicle. I sat on the couch, chilling all over, chest bloating and painful. I haven't breastfed in a long time, but peace is not in my arms. This kind of pain is more torturous than the edge of the knife. A lot of people around me were looking at me. There is sympathy, surprise, and disbelief. But I don't care. I only stared at Shin Yan. He has been communicating with the police. 10 minutes later, he walked up to me. I found the last location of the car. I immediately stood up. My eyes darkened. Shin Yan supported me. His hands are steady. You are in poor health now. I grabbed him by the sleeve. Take me. The police will go. I'm going. Shin Yan looked at me for a few seconds and did not pursue to me again. Okay. We set off with the police car. Lu Ming continued to follow. I stopped him. You are not allowed to go. He frowned. I am the father of the child. Didn't you just say that she is not your child? His face darkened. I looked at the police officer next to me. I suspect he was also involved in the disappearance of the child. At least until I find out. I don't want him to be near the child. The police nodded. Lu Mingxiu was left for questioning. When the car drove out of Lu's house, I saw him standing at the door in the rearview mirror. He didn't play it again. There was only coldness on his face, like a snake that was finally forced out of its hole. The car drove all the way to the suburbs. It was a newly developed villa area. Many houses are still empty. There are few street lights, and there are few people. The car found by the police was parked outside one of the villas. That villa is a property under the name of the Liu family. I didn't know before. Lu Mingxiu never told me. When the police rushed in, I was standing outside the door, my legs so weak that I could barely walk. Soon, a woman's cry came from inside. It's Su Man. I rushed in. In the bedroom on the second floor, Su Man sat on the carpet. She held Anan in her arms, and closed her eyes. Her face was red. She was tired of crying, and she was already asleep. Su Man changed into a pink dress for her. That was not the clothes I prepared. There is also an open photo album next to it. The first page is pasted with an ANS photo. There is a line written below. Mom, Su Man and the baby's first day. The last thread in my head broke. I rushed over and reached out to hug Anan. Su Man hugged the child tightly. No, don't rob her. The police immediately stepped forward to control her. I took Anan back into my arms. She had an unfamiliar smell of perfume. That smell made me want to vomit. I hugged her tightly, and tears finally fell. Anan, Mom is here. Mom is here. Anan seemed to hear my voice. She moved her small mouth and snorted softly. I pressed my face to her forehead. She is hot. She is still there. She is back. At that moment, I almost fell to my knees. Shin Yan stretched out his hand to support me. The child is fine. The doctor is on the way. Su Man was pressed to the ground by the police. She cried a lot. Her hair was messy, and the makeup on her face was spended. She looked at me and her voice was hoarse. Lin Wan, why do you have everything? I hugged Anan and looked at her coldly. What do I have? You have Mingxiu. You have children. You have the money of the Lin family. And you have everyone's protection. You have everything. I laughed so hard that tears still hung on his face. Su Man, you see clearly. I just finished giving birth and was drugged by you. You falsified paternity tests, wanted to rob my children, and wanted to take my property. You say I have everything. Su Man was stunned for a moment. Then she said sharply, but you have children. You can give birth. I can't. The room fell silent. Her tears fell in big lumps. I used to have children too. She looked at me, her eyes full of hatred and pain. It's Lu Mingxiu. My fingers tightened slightly. Su Man knelt on the ground, his voice lowering little by little. He hadn't married you yet. He said he loved me and said he would take me away. Later, he met you. You are the daughter of the Lin family, and your father has a company, shares, and connections. She smiled. That smile is uglier than crying. He started to change. He asked me to abort the child. My heart sank. Su Man continued. He said that if I was born, he would have nothing. He said that when he marries you and gets the resources of the Lin family, he will come back to me. He told me to wait for him. She looked up at me. I really believe it. There was an accident in the operation. I was bleeding profusely and the doctor said it would be difficult for me to get pregnant again in the future. Her voice trembled violently. I lost my child and the opportunity to be a mother. But what about Lu Mingxiu? He married you in a suit. He holds your child and plays a good husband in front of me. I looked at her and didn't speak. I can understand her pain, but I won't forgive her. She lost her child, but an is not her compensation. Su-man cried and said. He later found me and said that as long as I entered the Liu family, as long as I helped him stabilize you, he would let me take care of the children. He said that you are weak and have a soft personality. As long as you sign the divorce after the full moon banquet, the child can be left to me to raise. I asked, do you believe it? Su-man lowered his head. I want a child so much. So you come to take care of me, serve me soup, hold my child, and call yourself mother. She trembled. I looked at her and said word by word, Su-man, you lost your child. It was not my fault. You can't rob my daughter to make up for your life. She stopped crying. The police took her away. As she passed by me, she suddenly struggled. Lin Wan, Shen Yan stood in front of me. Su-man didn't pounce. She just stared at me. Do you think Lu Mingxiu just wants your money? My heart tightened. What do you mean? Su-man smiled. There was a pleasure of revenge in his eyes. Do you really think your parents' car accident was an accident? I froze. The air in the room seems to freeze instantly. I heard my voice. What did you say? Su-man looked at me. Your dad doesn't look down on him and doesn't agree with you marrying him. Your dad is also going to kick him out of the Lin family. Not long after, your parents were in a car accident. Lin Wan, do you really think this is just a coincidence? My ears were buzzing. Father, mother, car accident, Lu Mingxiu. When the words were connected, I could hardly breathe. Shen Yan's voice sounded beside me. Su-man, do you have any evidence? Su-man looked at him. Yes. She smiled tiredly. Of course I have, otherwise. How dare I come back to find Lu Mingxiu? Where is the evidence? I asked. In the compartment of my suitcase. There is a hard drive. Su-man said. There are things I secretly backed up back then. Lu Mingxiu didn't know that I was still there. She looked at me with complicated eyes. I originally wanted to use it to force him to marry me, but now I understand. He will never marry anyone. He only loves himself. The police took Su-man away. I stood there holding an in and didn't move for a long time. Shen Yan whispered, take the child to the hospital first. I nodded. After the hospital examination, the doctor said that Nan was fine, but cried for too long, was a little dehydrated and frightened. I sat on the edge of the hospital bed, holding her little hand. She fell asleep. The little hand held one of my fingers tightly. It's like I'm afraid I won't see you again. I bowed my head and kissed her. Mom won't let anyone take you away again. Shen Yan stood by the window and answered a few calls. Half an hour later, he came over. On the Liu family's side, the police have already controlled the driver and Zhou Fengqin. The driver initially admitted that it was Zhou Fengqin who asked him to take Su-man to the villa. I asked, where is Lu Mingxiu? He temporarily denied involvement. I sneered. Of course he will deny it. Shen Yan looked at me. You need to rest now. I want to go back to the Liu family. No. I looked up at him. The hard drive is still there. Shen Yan was silent for a few seconds. I'll let someone pick it up. I'll go in person. I know. I shouldn't be strong now, but that's the truth about my parents. If Lu Mingxiu already knew that Su-man was arrested, he would definitely find a way to destroy the evidence. I can't wait. In the end, Shen Yan arranged for a nurse to accompany an in and asked Zhou Ning to rush to the hospital. As soon as Zhou Ning saw me, his eyes immediately turned red. She didn't ask anything, just hugged me. Go. I'll keep the child. I held her hand. Thank you. When I returned to Lu's house, the banquet had already dispersed. The hall was a mess. Champagne glasses fell to the ground. Bouquets were crushed. And balloons that were originally celebrating the full moon were still floating in midair. It looks ridiculous and ridiculous. I was being tried here a few hours ago. Now only a broken scene remains. I went directly to Su-man's room. Her suitcase is still there. I opened the mezzanine and Shurinug. I touched something hard. Black hard drive. A small piece. But it sank as if two lives were crushing. Shen Yan brought a computer. Once the hard drive is plugged in, a password is required. My heart sank. Shen Yan asked, did Su-man say any special numbers? I shook my head. Suddenly, I remembered that old photo. When I come back, we will have a child. The photo has a date on the back. I pulled out that picture. The date above is July 19th. 5 years ago, Shen Yan entered 0719. Wrong password. I thought of Su-man saying that she had lost a child. I looked at Shen Yan. Try the child. He typed in pinyin. Still wrong. I stared at the password box. My mind spinning. People like Su-man are most obsessed with the unborn child. She may use the due date, but I don't know. At this moment, I suddenly remembered what she shouted when she was holding an in. Mom is here. I whispered. Try. Mama. Shen Yan entered. The hard drive opens. There are a lot of documents inside. Recordings, photos, videos, screenshots of transfers, and a folder named car. Shen Yan nodded. The first video is a bit blurry. The picture seems to have been taken from inside the car. The time display is 2 years ago. The location is a car repair shop near the Lin family's old house. In the video, Lu Mingxiu stands next to my father's car. He wore a black coat and had the sharpness of his youth on his face. He said to a man in overalls, "As long as the brakes fail, no one in the Lin family can stop me from marrying her." I stared at the screen. My blood froze little by little. That was his voice. I won't hear you wrong. It was a sound I had heard countless nights. He used to put me to sleep with this voice. He once said in this voice that he would take care of me for the rest of my life. At my parents' funeral, he hugged me and said, "Wan, you still have me." It turned out that at that time, what he was thinking about was not love. Finally, no one could stop him. My stomach churned. I held on to the table and could hardly stand still. Shen Yan stretched out his hand to help me. "Lin Wan." I heard his voice, but I couldn't speak. On the screen, the video continues. The man in the car repair shop was very low. "Mr. Lu, this matter is too risky." Lu Ming continued. "I will give you the money. If something happens, no one will find out about you." The man asked, "What if they didn't die?" Lu Ming was silent for 2 seconds. Then he said, "Then they have a big fate." I closed my eyes. Tears finally fell. Not because of Lu Mingxiu. It's because of my parents. After they died, I always thought it was an accident of fate. I have blamed the weather, the road conditions, and even myself. If I hadn't quarreled with my father that day, wouldn't he have gone out? If I had answered his call earlier, would he have changed his route? I lived with these self-blame for 2 years, but now someone tells me that it is not an accident. That's a man-made disaster. And the murderer was the one I later called my husband for 2 years. The phone rang suddenly. Lu Mingxiu was displayed on the screen. I looked at the name. My fingers cold. Shen Yan held my wrist. "Don't pick it up." I looked at my phone. The bells rang one by one, like a life-threatening one. I finally took it. I turned on hands-free. Lu Ming's voice came from the phone, very light and cold. "Lin Wan, you'd better not touch that hard drive." I looked at him on the computer screen. In the video, he is young, indifferent and greedy. He was equally indifferent on the phone. "Otherwise," he said, "your daughter won't be so lucky next time." I didn't speak. On the other side of the phone, Lu Mingxiu didn't urge me. We are silent across the current. Like 2 years ago, the night of my parents' funeral, I cried until I passed out. When I woke up, he was sitting on the edge of the bed and holding my hand. He said, Wan, I will be your home from now on." That sentence once saved me. Looking back now, it looks like a curse. He is not my home. He was the one who pushed my home down the abyss. I looked at my phone and finally spoke. "Lu Mingxiu, you killed my parents." The other side of the phone was quiet for a second. Then he laughed. "Do you have any evidence?" My heart was cold. "There is a video in the hard drive. Blurred videos, several unsourced recordings, a mentally unstable ex-girlfriend." His voice was very calm. "Lin Wan, do you think this is enough?" I clenched my phone. He continued, "Don't be naive. All you can do now is make a big deal out of it. In the end, everyone will know that your parents are dead, your husband is cheating, your children are robbed, and you collapse as soon as you are confinement. Does the Lin board of directors dare to hand over the company to you?" He was very accurate in every word. He knows what I care. He knows how to sting me. He used this understanding to take care of me. Now he threatens me with this understanding. I whispered, "Why are you doing this?" Lu Ming's smile faded. "Because your father is in my way." When this sentence fell, the last bit of fantasy in my heart was completely dead. I even hope he denies it. Hopefully he says no. I hope he said I misunderstood. But he didn't. He was just telling me that he didn't regret it. "Lin Wan, I gave you a chance." He said, "You are Mrs. Lu. I won't hurt you, but you want to investigate. You want to make trouble. My parents lives in your mouth. It's just me making trouble. Don't talk about yourself so innocently." His voice cooled down. "You enjoy your identity as Mrs. Lu and the care I give you. Now that you have discovered the truth, you want to pick yourself up." I laughed. "Mrs. Lu's identity is the cage you gave me. Your care is the anesthetic you gave me." There was silence on the other end of the phone for a few seconds. Then he said, "At 10 o'clock tonight, the old warehouse in the west of the city. You come alone." Shen Yan immediately frowned. I looked at my phone. "What do you want to do?" "Bring the share confirmation document and sign." Lu Ming continued, "You transfer out Lin's shares, and I will let you and your children go." "Why should I believe you? You have no choice." His voice faded. "Lin Wan, you can call the police, or you can take Shen Yan with you, but you have to think clearly. Is your daughter safe now? How long can that friend in the hospital keep her?" My heart tightened violently. Lu Mingxiu knew that Nan was in the hospital. He kept staring at me. After the phone hung up, the room was quiet. I looked at Shen Yan. He knows where Nan is. Shen Yan immediately called to arrange manpower. He moves quickly and has a steady voice, but I could see that his expression became colder. A few minutes later, he said to me, "The child has transferred. Zhou Ning is also safe." My tense body finally relaxed a little, but soon, I squeezed my hand again. "I'm going to see him." Shen Yan looked at me. "It's a trap." "I know." "Then you still go." "He won't stop." I said, "As long as he is still outside, Anin and I will not be safe." Shen Yan did not answer immediately. I looked up at him. "Shen Yan, I don't want to die. I want him to finish speaking by himself. He understood. You want to set up a game. Yes. I looked at the evidence in the computer. The video is not enough. He would say it was a forgery. Soo-man's words are not enough. He will say that she hates him. I want him to admit it himself. I want him to threaten me, force me to transfer shares, admit that he arranged everything. Shin Yen was silent for a moment. Yes, but you can't go according to his rules. That night, we didn't sleep. Shin Yen contacted the police and submitted evidence of the hard drive, which also illustrated Lu Ming's threat. The police decided to take control, but the old warehouse was large and the surrounding lines were complicated. Lu Mingxiu was very cautious. He may change places temporarily. Shin Yen prepared a button camera, a locator, and a very small voice recorder for me. He helped me sew the buttons to my coat. The movements are light. I looked down at his slender fingers, and suddenly remembered that Lu Mingxiu had also helped me buckle the necklace before. But then I felt dependent. Now, I only feel sober. Shin Yen looked up at me. Are you afraid? I said, I'm afraid. He didn't say don't be afraid. He just said, you can go if you're afraid, but at any time, saving life comes first. I nodded. I know. Before dawn, I went to CNN. She has been moved to safety. Zhou Ning stood by the side, looking tired. When she saw me, she stood up immediately. Are you really going? I looked at Anan. She slept in a cot with her little fist on her face. She still doesn't know what her mother is going to face. I bowed my head and kissed her. I have to go. Zhou Ning's eyes were red. Lin Wan, you weren't like this before. I laughed. I used to be too stupid. No. Zhou Ning shook his head. You used to believe in love too much. This sentence made my nose sour. Yes, I used to believe in love, believe in marriage. Believing that a person can appear when I am in the most pain is the compensation given to me by fate. But fate did not compensate me. I didn't see it clearly. At 9:30 in the evening, I set off at Lu Ming's request. He sent a temporary message asking me to park the car at the old intersection in the west of the city and change to another car. I did it. A black car without a license plate was parked there. The driver was wearing a hat. After I got in the car, he didn't speak. The windows were covered with film, and I couldn't see the outside clearly. My palms are full of sweat. In the headphones, Shin Yan's voice was very low. The positioning is still there. The police followed. Hold your breath. I didn't respond. I was afraid of being discovered. The car drove for more than 20 minutes. Finally, it stopped outside an abandoned warehouse. This place is more biased than Lu Ming's words. There were no lights around. Only a few cold white street lamps in the distance. I get out of the car. The driver took my phone. Go in. I walked into the warehouse. It was empty inside. There is dust on the concrete floor, and the smell of rust and dampness in the air. Lu Mingxiu stood in the middle. He was wearing a black coat and had no expression on his face. Mother-in-law Zhou Fengqin is also there. She sat on a chair with a bad face. When she saw me, she immediately stood up. You disaster star. You really dare to come. I looked at her. Where is Anan? The mother-in-law sneered. You only know about children until now. Lin Wan, do you know that you ruined the Lu family? The Lu family was destroyed by yourself. My mother-in-law rushed over and wanted to hit me. Lu Mingxiu stretched out his hand to stop her. Mom, that's enough. The mother-in-law was trembling with anger. Look at her like this. She gave birth to a girl, and she dared to make our Lu family like this. If I had known she was so restless, I shouldn't have let you marry her in the first place. I looked at Lu Mingxiu. It turns out that your mother also knows why you married me. Lu Mingxiu did not deny it. He reached out to me. Documents. I put the bag on the table. Inside was a fake share transfer agreement. The real documents are certainly not in my hands. Shin Yen won't let me risk real Ings. Lu Mingxiu opened it and took a look. Frowning. This is not the complete document I want. I said, you let me see it first. He looked up at me. You are not qualified to negotiate conditions. I'm her mother. He laughed. Mom. There was sarcasm in his voice. Lin Wan, do you really think that being a mother means giving birth to her? You can't even protect yourself. What do you use to protect your children? I looked at him. At least I won't use her as a bargaining chip. Lu Ming's face sank. The mother-in-law said coldly, what's wrong with the chips? She is a child of the Lu family. If the Lu family raises her, she should bring benefits to the Lu family. A girl is useless in the first place. If she hadn't helped us get the shares of the Lin family, I would have let Ming Su have another one. This sentence was clearly transmitted to my button camera. I held back the hatred in my heart. So you didn't care about her from the beginning. The mother-in-law said, what I care about is the Lu family, including making me insane. That's useless for you. The mother-in-law sneered. A bowl of soup can make you like this. Do you still want to manage the company? Lu Ming continued to glance at his mother-in-law. She shut up. But it's too late. These words were all recorded. Lu Mingxiu walked up to me. Lin Wan, don't waste time. Sign. I'll let you go. I looked at him. Let me go with the child. Yes, you promise. Lu Ming continued to laugh. You can only trust me now. I looked down at the agreement. Lu Mingxiu, were you so calm when you killed my parents? The air froze in an instant. The mother-in-law's face changed drastically. What nonsense are you talking about? Lu Mingxiu stared at me. What did Su Man say to you? I looked at him. She gave me the hard drive. His eyes finally changed. At that moment, I was sure. He was afraid of that hard drive. He is more afraid than anyone else. The mother-in-law asked sharply, "What hard drive?" Lu Mingxiu did not answer her. He just looked at me in a low voice. "Where's the thing? Safe place." He suddenly laughed. "Lin Wan. You are really capable. You taught me." I said. "You taught me in 2 years. I can't believe you." The smile on his face slowly faded. "Your dad has always looked down on me, so you killed him." Lu Ming took a step forward and grabbed my wrist. It was very powerful. I didn't kill him with my own hands. My heart shook violently. He continued. "I just gave someone else a choice. If your dad wasn't so stubborn, he wouldn't have died." My eyes were hot. "He's my dad. He's also the one standing in front of me." Lu Ming continued to lower his voice. "Lin Wan, do you know what kind of life I have lived since I was a child? My mother put all her hopes on me. Everyone said I didn't deserve to be in the upper circles. Your dad sees me that way too." I looked at him coldly. "So you killed him." "I just want to change my fate. The way you change your destiny is to destroy other people's lives." He stared at me. "This is how the world is. I desperately can't get what you have had since birth. Lin Wan, you are not qualified to stand on high ground and judge me." I laughed. Tears fell. "My parents' lives are not your steps." He let go of my hand, and his face finally showed a sense of irritability. "Sign." He stuffed the pen into my hand. "If you sign, nothing happened to me tonight. You can leave with the child. But the Lin family belongs to me. What if I don't sign?" He sneered. "Then you will never see her." At this moment, a baby's cry suddenly came from outside the warehouse. Very light, but it hit my ear like thunder. I froze. That voice was too much like an in. I looked up sharply. "You brought her." Lu Mingxiu looked at me and finally showed a triumphant smile. "Do you think Shen Yan hid the child well?" I was chilled. In that second, I almost forgot all my plans. I just want to rush out. But Lu Ming grabbed my shoulder and pressed me back to the table. "Sign." There was another cry outside. One sound after another. Like a child crying so much that he couldn't breathe. I held the pen and my hands were shaking violently. Lu Ming continued to look down at me. "Lin Wan, don't force me. You know I can do it." The mother-in-law urged next to her. "Sign. Sign quickly. You don't need to raise this child after signing." I looked at the words on the agreement. The vision became more and more blurred. I suddenly remembered the first time and grabbed my finger. "She is so small." But he grasped it very tightly, as if telling me that she believed me. I closed my eyes. Then I slowly put pen to paper. As soon as the first word Lin was written, the crying outside the warehouse suddenly stopped. Immediately afterwards, a familiar male voice came from the door. "Lu Mingxiu, are you sure the child is in your hands?" "It is Shen Yan." Lu Mingxi's face changed. The warehouse door was pushed open from the outside. The cold wind poured in. Shen Yan stood at the door, with police lights and guns behind him, and in his arms he was holding a player with the screen on. The baby's cry just now came from there. Lu Mingxiu finally realized that something was wrong. He looked at me suddenly. I looked up, still holding the pen in my hand. "There is no ink on the tip of the pen. That's an empty pen." I looked at him and his voice was very soft. "Lu Mingxiu, this time, it's time for you to sign." When the police rushed in, Lu Mingxi's first reaction was not to run. He looked at me. There was shock, anger, and a sense of absurdity in those eyes. It seems that he can't accept it, and I really dare to lie to him. But he forgot. He was the first to deceive people. He was the first to destroy everything. The mother-in-law screamed and stepped back. "What are you doing? It's our family's business. It's a family affair." No one paid attention to her. The police controlled her directly. She struggled to call Lu Mingxi's name. "Mingxiu, speak quickly. Tell them quickly. It was Lin Wan who framed us." Lu Mingxiu did not speak. His eyes kept falling on me. "You knew the child was not here." I clenched the empty pen in my hand. "Yes." "Is the cry fake?" "Yes." His face sank little by little. "Lin Wan, you have learned to set up a game." I looked at him. "I learned from you." Shen Yan walked up to me and unbuttoned the camera on my coat. The police took the equipment. The audio and video recordings just now have been saved synchronously. Lu Mingxi's eyes finally changed. The mother-in-law also froze. He looked at me, her lips trembling. "What did you record?" I didn't answer, because she knows better than me what she just said. She said that Nan was just a bargaining chip. She said girls were useless. She said the bowl of soup was intentional. She said I don't pipe the company. She sent herself into the evidence with her own hands. Lu Mingxiu suddenly smiled. "What about audio and video recordings? When people are emotional, what can they say? A few heavy words." Shen Yan said calmly. "It shows that you are suspected of threatening, blackmailing, and illegally restricting personal freedom, coupled with the previous drugging, falsifying identification, abetting the baby, and new evidence from the car accident 2 years ago. It is enough for the police to continue the investigation." Lu Ming continued to look at him. "Lawyer Shin, you are doing your best." Shen Yan was not angry. "I am entrusted by others." Lu Mingxiu sneered. "Entrusted by her father." Shen Yan's eyes cooled. "Yes." At this moment, I suddenly understood. My father said that Shen Yan was reliable. Not just because he was a lawyer. Maybe my father has long seen that there is a problem with Lu Mingxiu. Maybe my father has left a way out for me a long time ago. It's just that I believed in Lu Mingxiu too much at that time. So I didn't go down that retreat. The police handcuffed Lu Mingxiu. The sound on the handcuffs was soft, but it was like a lock. Finally locking my nightmare for 2 years. Lu Mingxiu glanced down at his wrist. Then he looked up at me. Lin Wan, do you think this is the end? I walked up to him. I used to always look up at him. He is tall, calm, and strong. I used to think it was a sense of security. Now I know that it is just oppression. I said, no, this is just the beginning. He stared at me. Are you really going to send me to jail? Yes, I am an ANS father. I looked at him without a trace of fluctuations in my heart. You don't deserve it. After these 3 words fell, the last bit of disguise in Lu Mingxi's eyes was also shattered. He lowered his voice and said, Lin Wan, you will regret it. I shook my head. The thing I regret the most is that I once loved you. His face turned pale. The police took him out. When my mother-in-law was taken away, she was still scolding me. Lin Wan, you poisonous woman. You ruined my son. You ruined the Lu family. I looked at her. I didn't destroy the Lu family. It is you who build it on the blood of others. She also wanted to pounce on her, but was held down by the police. Outside the warehouse. It was almost dawn. The sky in the distance was grayish-white. I stood in the cold wind and suddenly felt the strength in my body being drained. Shen Yan supported me. It's over. I shook my head. Not yet. He was right. The danger is over tonight, but the real trial has not yet begun. The days that followed were like a long reckoning. The police reinvestigated my parents' car accident back then. When the owner of the car repair shop was found, he had already changed cities and opened a small shop. He didn't admit it at first, until the police took out the video on the hard drive. There was also Lu Mingxi's transfer record of that year. He finally collapsed. He said that Lu Mingxiu found him through an intermediary. Let him do it in my father's car, instead of completely ruining the brakes. They fail at high speeds. He thought it would only cause a minor injury, but the speed was too fast that day, and the rain was too heavy. My parents did not survive. When I heard this confession, I was very calm. It was so calm that Shen Yan looked at me worriedly. But I really can't cry. There seems to be a lot of tears in people. On the night I knew the truth, I had already cried the last of my weakness. Su Man also cooperated with the investigation as a witness. She admitted that she pretended to be a confinement sister-in-law and entered the Lu family. Admitted to helping Lu Mingxiu spy on me. Admit to serving me the soup in question. He also admitted the tea he took in a way. She will not be innocent. She must pay for her mistakes. But she handed over more evidence, including the chat records of Lu Mingxiu and his mother-in-law, including the recording of Lu Mingxi's performance with the full moon banquet, including the transcript of Lu Mingxi's promise to let her become the mother of the child. One day, the lawyer told me that Su Man wanted to see me. I didn't want to go, but in the end, I went. She sat in the meeting room. In just a few days, she seemed to be much older. Her hair was tied casually. There was no makeup on her face, and her eyes were no longer as obsessed as before. When she saw me, she lowered her head first. Isn't it okay? I said. She's fine. Su Man's eyes were red. That's good. I sat across from her. We are separated by glass. She looked at me and took a long time to speak. I'm sorry. I didn't say it was okay. Because some hurt is not something that can be erased with 3 words sorry. She knows it too. So she didn't ask me for forgiveness. She just said, when I took her away that day, I really didn't want to hurt her. I just wanted to treat her like my child too much. I looked at her. She's not your child. Su Man nodded. I know. She laughed and tears fell. Now I know. It's too late. I didn't speak. Su Man said, Lu Mingxiu will not love anyone. I used to think he had at least a little sincerity towards you. Later I realized that his tenderness to you is all to make you obedient. I calmly said, I already know. She looked at me. Lin Wan, I hate you. I know. I thought you took my life. She whispered. But in fact, he is the one who took my life. But I don't dare to hate him. So I hate you. I looked at her pale face. Is she pitiful? You can also pity me. But she is also hateful. One cannot hurt another innocent person just because he has been hurt. I stood up. Su Man, I won't intercede for you. She nodded. I know, but I will tell the police the truth about the evidence you handed over. She looked up at me with a hint of loosening in her eyes. Thank you. I turned and left. When I walked to the door, she suddenly stopped me. Lin Wan. I turned back. She looked at me through the glass. You must be Ainan's mother. I said, I will. When I left the meeting room, the sun was shining outside. I raised my hand to block my eyes. At that moment, I suddenly felt that the shadow of the past was receding little by little, not disappearing, but I finally started to come out. Before the case entered the trial stage, I also returned to Lin's family. When I re-entered the company building for the first time, the front desk saw me and was stunned for a long time. Miss Lin. This title made me pause. I nodded. Notify the board of directors that the meeting will be held at 10 o'clock. In the conference room, many people have already arrived. Several of them were inserted by Lu Mingxiu before. When they saw me, their expressions were very complicated. Some people have a guilty conscience. Some people are uneasy. And some people still want to wait and see. Director Zhao sat on the left, saw me come in. and stood up. Wan. I walked to the main seat. That's where my father used to sit. I put my hand on the back of the chair and felt a tingling in my heart. My father used to sit here, handling company affairs and blocking me from a lot of wind and rain. At that time, I always felt that business was far away. I feel like I still have a lot of time to learn. But time didn't wait for me. I can't hide behind anyone anymore. I sit down. The meeting room was quiet. I looked at everyone. From today onwards, the Lin family will be taken over by me. A vice president immediately spoke. Miss Lin, you have just finished giving birth and your body has not yet recovered. The company's current situation is complicated. Should we wait any longer? I looked at him. What are you waiting for? He choked. Wait until the outcome of the case becomes clearer. The case is clear enough. I said. Lu Mingxiu is suspected of committing a crime, and Zhou Fengqin is suspected of participating. If you still have questions, you can ask the police. Another person said. But Mr. Lu has been in charge of some projects before, and if it is suddenly interrupted, the loss will be great. I opened the document. Of the 3 projects that Lu Mingxiu is responsible for, 2 have abnormal capital flows, and 1 contract clause is obviously biased towards Lu's affiliates. I have involved. All projects involving the transfer of benefits will be suspended immediately. Someone in the conference room changed his face. I continued. I don't care which side you used to stand on. After today, if you want to stay, do things according to Lin's rules. If you want to speak for Lu Mingxiu, you can leave now. No one moved. I looked at them. Also, the share trust left by my father has entered the formal confirmation process. Lu Mingxiu forged my mental problems and tried to interfere with the inheritance, and this matter will also be held accountable. Director Zhao nodded. I support Miss Lin taking over. With him speaking, other directors also expressed their positions. I know. It's not because they all trust me. They just saw the wind direction clearly. It doesn't matter. I don't need them to love me right away. I just need them to know that Lin Wan is no longer the woman who can be controlled by the Lu family. After the meeting, I was left alone in the conference room. I sat in my father's seat and looked out the window. The city is quiet in the sun, but I know very well in my heart that I still have a lot to learn. I didn't become a powerful woman overnight. I was pushed by pain and stood up step by step. Shin Yan knocked on the door and came in. He held a document in his hand. The audit team has entered the scene. I nodded. Thank you. He put the documents in front of me. One more thing. The court has set a court date. I took the document. Lu Mingxi's name was written on it. My fingers stopped. Shin Yan asked. Do you want to go in person? I said. Go. He looked at me. You cannot go. I'm going. I looked up at him and said. I want to see him judged. On the day of the trial, the weather was fine. I didn't take an in. She is too small to be in such a place. I wore a black suit, not to appear tough. I just want to use the most sober appearance to send my past self away. When Lu Mingxiu was taken out, he lost a little weight, but he still looked calm. When he saw me, his eyes moved. I didn't shy away. The trial was long. The evidence was presented one by one. Drug test report, full moon banquet recording, Su Man's testimony, driver's statement, statement of the owner of the car repair shop, transfer history, hard disk video. Every piece of evidence is like a stone, smashing the dignity that Lu Mingxiu once managed. The mother-in-law broke down and cried in another trial. She said she just wanted to make the Lu family good. She said she didn't want to harm anyone. She said that there is nothing wrong with a mother helping her son. I listened, without any fluctuations in my heart. Many wicked people like to say that they have suffering, but they never asked if the person they hurt was in pain. Lu Mingxi's lawyer tried to say that he did not directly cause the car accident. Attempts to say that Herman's testimony carried personal retaliation. Trying to say that I was really unstable after giving birth, so part of the recording background is questionable. Shin Yan refuted one by one. His voice was always calm, not in a hurry, not angry, but nailed every sentence to the key point. Finally, Lu Mingxiu finally applied to speak. The court allowed it. He stood up and looked at me. Lin Wan. I looked up at him. His voice was much lower. I admit that I did a lot of things wrong, but I have really been with you too. After your parents died, I was the one who accompanied you out. When you are pregnant, I take care of you. Those are not all fake. He paused. His eyes were a little red. If it were the former me, it might be shaken. Maybe remember him dressing me on a rainy night. I remember him accompanying me for a prenatal checkup. I remembered him holding my hand after I had a difficult birth and saying that it was hard. But now, I just think it's ridiculous. Before the knife is inserted into the body, it can also be polished very brightly. That doesn't mean it's not a knife. Lu Mingxiu continued. I just want to succeed too much. I'm just too afraid of losing the opportunity. If your father was willing to accept me back then, if he hadn't forced me, I wouldn't have come this far. I looked at him. He is still blaming others. Blame my father for not accepting him. Blame fate for not giving him a chance. Blame me for finding out the truth. But he didn't really blame himself. I stood up. The judge allowed me to make statements as a family member of the victim. I looked at Lu Mingxiu and said word by word, I once loved you. His eyes moved slightly. I continued. I love the man who held me at my parents' funeral. I love the husband who accompanied me for a prenatal checkup and read me a parenting book. I love the person who said he had worked hard outside the operating room with red eyes. But now I know that those are not love. That's the net you laid. You didn't accompany me out of the pain. You were when I was in the most pain, confirming that I no longer had the strength to resist. Lu Minx's face turned white little by little. I said, "You killed my parents and took my home. You drugged me and wanted me to be crazy. You faked paternity tests and want to ruin my reputation. You asked Su Man to take away my daughter and wanted to force me to hand over my shares. You say you just want to succeed. But Lu Mingxiu, one person's success cannot be paved with other people's lives." I took a deep breath. "I won't forgive you. I won't let my daughter remember a father like you. From today onwards, you and me, and Anan, will no longer have anything to do with you." Lu Mingxiu looked at me. His lips moved, but he didn't make a sound. On the day the verdict was handed down, I didn't cry. Lu Mingxiu was sentenced on a number of charges. The old car accident case was recharacterized. The mother-in-law was also punished for participating in drugging, falsifying evidence, and assisting in taking away the baby. Su Man's sentence was reduced because she took the initiative to confess and provide key evidence. But she also had to bear her own guilt. When everything settled, a long time had passed, and it will turn over. When she laughed, her eyes were curved, like a small moon. I took her out of the Lu family. In fact, the Lu family's house was later seized and dealt with. I didn't look back. My new home is by the river. Not big, but the sun is good. The baby room is light beige. The curtains are soft, and the floor is covered with thick cushions. I personally placed Ainan's cot by the window. Zhou Ning came to help me sort things out. While hanging her clothes, she said, "It's nice here." I hugged Ainan and smiled. "Yes, what do you plan to do in the future?" I looked down at my daughter. "Work hard, raise her well, and live well." Zhou Ning looked at me. "What else?" I knew she wanted to ask Shen Yan. I didn't answer. It's not that I don't understand. During this time, Shen Yan has been by my side. He helped me find evidence, accompanied me to court, and dealt with a lot of troubles in the company for me. He never crossed the line. He never asked me for anything with kindness. He just stood there quietly, like a lamp, not dazzling, but always lit. A few days later, I invited him to dinner. The restaurant is located by the river. We sat by the window. Anan was taken by Zhou Ning and did not follow. This is the first time since I came out of confinement that I sat down quietly to have a meal. Shen Yan handed me the menu. "You're still recovering. Don't be too exciting." I laughed. "Why do you start to care about what I eat?" He said, "Professional habits. Lawyers also care about diet." I was entrusted by others. I was stunned for a moment. He looked at me with a gentle look in his eyes. "Your father told me back then that if you come to me one day, let me not only fight a lawsuit for you, but also remind you to eat on time." My eyes instantly heated. I bowed my head. "Did he really say that?" Shen Yan said. "He said that you looked good since you were a child, but you are actually very stubborn. When you are sad, you don't like to talk, and it is easy to hold on by yourself." I endured it for a long time, but I still couldn't hold back my tears. It turns out that my father didn't really leave me. He just left me a little light in another way. Shen Yan handed me the tissue. I took it and wiped away my tears. Shen Yan, thank you. He looked at me. "Not just because of your father. I help you because you deserve to be helped." My heart trembled slightly. He didn't say more, nor did they take advantage of my vulnerability. After the meal, we walked along the river for a while. The evening breeze is light. The lights of the city lit up little by little. I said, "I don't want to talk about feelings now." Shen Yan stopped. He was not disappointed and not embarrassed, just nodded. "I know." I looked at him. "I don't even know if I could trust others in the future." "Don't rush to trust anyone," he said. I was slightly stunned. He continued, "You just have to believe in yourself first." This sentence is very light, but I remembered it for a long time. A year later, Lin's family was completely stabilized. The bad accounts left by Lu Mingxiu were cleaned up. Those cooperation related to the Lu family were terminated. The company starts a new project. I have also set up a legal aid fund, specializes in helping women who have been controlled, threatened, and taken of their children in their marriages and families. At the launching ceremony, a reporter asked me, "Mr. Lin, why do you want to do this fund?" I stood on stage and looked at the camera, because I know that when a woman is most isolated, what she needs most is not a sentence of patience. She needs proof. Law is needed. Someone needs to tell her that she's not crazy or wrong. She was just hurt, and those who hurt her should pay the price. The audience was very quiet. Then, applause rang out little by little. I stood there and suddenly remembered myself from a long time ago. The one who had just given birth and hid in the bedroom and didn't dare to cry. If someone had told me then that I would be standing here one day, I would not have believed it. But people are like this. In the darkest night, as long as you still hold a little light, you can go out. On Ainan's second birthday, I received a letter. The sender is Lu Mingxiu. He wrote to me in prison. The envelope is thin. I didn't want to open it, but in the end, I still watched it. In the letter, he said he regretted it. He said that he always dreamed of the past at night. Dream that I am walking towards him in my wedding dress. Dream of Anan when she was born. She was a small lump. He said that if it weren't for Su Man, without his mother, And without those ambitions, we wouldn't have been doing well. I read this and laughed. He still doesn't understand. The problem is not Su-man, not Zhou Fengqin, not ambition either. It's himself. It was he who chose to hurt, chose to deceive, chose to take other people's lives as his own path. At the end of the letter, he wrote, Wan, I really loved you. I put the letter in the shredder. The paper is swallowed and little by little turn into fine white strips of paper. I didn't reply. I didn't hate it to the point of trembling. I just feel that life can finally be completely over. In the living room, Anin is building blocks. She already talks a lot. Seeing me, she held up a yellow block. Mom, home. I walked over and squatted in front of her. Are you at home? She nodded seriously. Mom's home. Ainan's home. My nose was sore. Then laughed. Yes, mother's home. Ainan's home. She threw herself into my arms and put her little hands around my neck. The sun came in through the window and shone on her soft hair. I hugged her and suddenly felt very quiet in my heart. I used to think that home was a promise given to me by a man. Later I learned that the home was an oath given by anyone. I guarded my home. I snatched it back from the lie. I rebuilt it from the ruins. The doorbell rang. I hugged Anin and went to open the door. Shin Yen stood outside the door, holding a small cake in his hand. As soon as Anin saw him, he stretched out his hand. Uncle Shin. Shin Yen took her, and his movements were already very skillful. He looked at me. Happy birthday, that I laughed. Today is an AN's birthday. I know, he said. It is also the day of your rebirth. I was stunned for a moment. Then he lowered his head and smiled. The wind outside the window blows in with the fragrance of flowers. Anan lay on Shin Yen's shoulder and smiled at me. At that moment, I was not in a hurry to think about what the future would hold. I just knew that I was finally free, and my daughter will also grow up in a home without lies, fear, and control. I reached out and touched an AN's face. Anan. She blinked at me. I whispered, we're going home.